Long ago, gods called Osiris appeared from the skies. These Osiris gods gave all sorts of gifts to mankind, things like astronomy, architecture, and even culture. However, the Osiris actually wanted to take over Earth, so the pharaoh, together with the sun god Ra, fought against them. The Osiris tried to summon their other people to Earth, something which happens only once every 5,000 years due to the stars aligning perfectly. But the pharaoh stole the light from the Osiris and used it to trap them in a dungeon below the pyramid. However, the Osiris still had followers among the humans, like Princess Amenfer. However, Princess Amenfer dies while giving birth, and everyone is happy because she was the last worshipper of Osiris. But in secret, they built a secret gate beneath Amenfer's tomb. When the stars align once more, the descendant of Amenfer will release the Osiris. So the pharaoh created a key called the Key of Heaven to lock all of Amenfer's secrets, and even made a guardian to protect it. Because, if the Osiris gods return, they would burn and kill everyone. Only their loyal servants would be saved. On to the present day, 5,000 years later. A professor named Hayden says that the time of the stars' alignment will happen in 7 days. He seems very anxious. When Hayden is busy with a phone call, someone steals his walking stick. Meanwhile, a young archaeological apprentice named Doug Adler brings an ancient slab to his professor Mandela. Doug tells Mandela that the image on the slab is that of a flying object, and that something strange happened 5,000 years ago. Elsewhere, the man who stole the walking stick gives it to a shady-looking businessman named Peter who is looking for the Key of Heaven. For information, Peter goes to an even more shady-looking man who asks for money. No worries, Peter has got a bag full of it. The man has something even better than information, the Key of Heaven itself. In return, Peter gives him a knife to his throat, courtesy of the walking stick from before. Peter takes the Key of Heaven and leaves. Later, Hayden also comes to the man for the key, but he's dead, of course. Peter calls him and says that it was Hayden's own walking stick that was used to kill the man, and it has his fingerprints all over it. If Peter goes to the police, then Hayden will be charged with murder. In return for not doing that, Peter demands to be included in their current project. Back at the site, a huge storm is coming, so they have to stop their work. Hayden goes to a mysterious woman named Claire for advice. Claire says that this storm did not happen by accident and that Hayden will complete his mission in the next few days. But she also sees visions of the Osiris returning and the world being destroyed. However, she doesn't reveal what she saw to Hayden. The next morning, the storm passes and it has revealed a hidden pyramid. Hayden asks Mandela to find the opening. Doug asks Hayden to slow down the work because Mandela has not gotten enough rest. But Hayden reminds him that the celestial event will happen in 3 days, and he needs to be inside that pyramid by then. Doug and Mandela work hard all day and finally go home late at night. That night, Hayden goes to meet Peter, who reveals that he has the Key of Heaven. Hayden offers to buy it, but Peter is more interested in joining the mission and looking for bigger riches under the pyramid. Once again, he threatens to send Hayden's walking stick to the police station. With no other choice, Hayden agrees. The next morning, Doug finds Mandela very sick and tired as he has just suffered from a heart attack. He says that Doug will have to continue deciphering the symbols. Doug is hesitant, but Mandela convinces him that he can do it. Elsewhere, Hayden's daughter Sarah arrives in Egypt because Hayden's requested her to come. Sarah goes to the grave of her mother, Hayden's wife's, to pay her respects. She thinks about how her mother used to tell her the tales of Princess Amenfer and used to call her a little princess. She later meets Doug and asks where Mandela is because they need to continue work. Doug tells him that Mandela got a heart attack and he's in the hospital. Doug is his replacement. But Sarah does not think that Doug is qualified to take over Mandela's work. Later, she meets up with Adam, the man who organized the whole expedition. They all talk together and agree that Doug is the best person they have since Mandela is not fit. They set up a meeting for everyone to know each other. Hayden, Sarah, Peter, Doug, and Adam all meet up, including a new antiquities expert named Rohit. Everyone is shocked to hear that Mandela got a heart attack and he won't be joining them, since he was the best at deciphering symbols. But they agree to continue the work. That night, Sarah admits to Doug that she grew up with her mother and that her father is practically a stranger to her. Also, he called her here not because he wanted her, but because he needed her. Her mother died 10 years ago when some robbers allegedly killed her for her money. The next morning, Doug finds a plate of symbols which says that anyone who enters will die. Only the ones chosen by God will survive. However, this does not deter Hayden, and the whole team enters along with a group of soldiers. They break down the walls because the entrance has been sealed. They enter the tunnel and come to a wall full of hornet nests. They make a soldier break it down while they step outside. However, Sarah is frozen and cannot move, so Doug carries her out. But the soldier who breaks the wall dies due to the hornets stinging. Another soldier uses a blowtorch to clear the rest of the way. They enter another chamber with a golden statue in the middle. Peter becomes too greedy and picks it up, and a huge stone door falls on the army major, who is killed instantly. Hayden makes Peter put the statue back, but the gates don't open. They are now sealed in, and they have no other choice but to go forward. Rohit and Doug work together in another trap corridor where Rohit almost gets killed, but they decipher the code and cross it safely. They enter another chamber full of symbols. While everyone looks around, Doug starts deciphering them. Unknown to them, the dust actually wakes up ancient mummies inside the tomb, and they pull a lever without them knowing. Meanwhile, Sarah asks Peter what he knows about Hayden and her mother. Peter says that everyone has their secrets, and that Hayden was going to open the tomb no matter what. Meanwhile, Rohit shows Doug a contraption on the tomb, and that he has seen similar machinery in other parts of the world like Peru and India. He raises the question of how all those got to those places. Just then, Doug uncovers a secret passage underneath, and they all enter underground. They finally reach the tomb of Princess Amenfer, which is very beautiful and well decorated. Adam reveals that Sarah's mother was the descendant of Princess Amenfer. They all work together to remove the cover of the coffin and reveal Princess Amenfer underneath. They all pay their respects, except for Hayden, who throws away her body, saying that she was just a pharaoh's concubine and that this pyramid hides bigger secrets. Hayden then asks for the key from Peter, and they put it in the lock. A passage opens up and they go further below. Doug tells Sarah to be careful because whatever Hayden is doing, it seems he needs Sarah for it. As they are going into the tunnel, Peter accidentally steps on a trap, and stone doors fall in between them and separate them into 3 groups. Doug, Sarah, and Claire are trapped together, so Doug finds some symbols which leads them to an escape route. Another group is looking at a tunnel when they are suddenly pushed by someone, and they fall. Rohit and a soldier survive while the other soldier dies from a broken neck. They continue on their way. After some time, Doug and the others also arrive at the location and find the dead soldier. The third group, led by Hayden, also arrive at the scene, and they all continue on their way. Unknown to them, the dead mummies are close behind, right after them. Suddenly, they come to a room full of these mummies who are all taller than normal humans. Claire says that they are all victims of the sun and were blinded by the light. They go through the lines to pass them, but one of the mummies grabs Sarah by the throat. Doug attacks it, but it's no use, and he gets tossed aside. Adam comes and shoots its arm. The soldier also shoots it, but it's no use, and the mummy kills him. Sarah finds a door, but it starts to close, so everyone scrambles to get to the other side, but Peter gets trapped. Hayden looks at him being strangled and does nothing. Thankfully, he also makes it. Sarah yells at her father, saying that he wants Peter to die. He slaps Sarah and says that he does not care about Peter. The mummy chasing them is the guardian who was put in by the followers of Ra to stop any intruders, but he will not let it stop him. Sarah asks if Hayden was the one who killed her mother, and he suddenly becomes quiet. They come across a unique door. Hayden tells Doug to decipher it if he wants to find a way out for Sarah and others. He finds a switch and the door starts glowing. Hayden then tells Sarah to walk through it as she's the key. Sarah gives Doug a look and goes through. The door suddenly opens and everyone enters. But just then, the guardian mummy returns and Peter is forced to take another way while the others close the door. They all finally reach an underground city that could support an entire society. They enter a chamber and suddenly, Hayden commands Adam to take Sarah and force her to sit on a stone throne. Doug tries to protest, but Adam aims his gun at him. Then he puts stone locks on her wrists, while Hayden reveals that Sarah is the direct descendant of Princess Amenfer, and her blood will release the Osiris. Doug runs at them and Adam shoots, but Rohit comes in between and saves Doug. Then Doug cuts Sarah's hand and lets her blood flow. Hayden uses the key of heaven to complete the rest of the ritual while saying that if Sarah's mother had cooperated, she would have been sitting here on the throne beside him. Suddenly the whole place starts glowing and lines of blue light go all over the place, activating all the ancient machinery in there. The lights start entering the mummies from before. Meanwhile, Hayden welcomes the Osiris, saying that mankind will finally reach its full potential. The stars all align and the top of the pyramid opens up and a blue light shoots out to the sun. From the sun, a green light comes back and the mummies start waking up. Meanwhile, Doug fights Adam and knocks him out and takes his gun. Then, he spins the key of heaven, turning everything off. Sarah also gets out of her prison and takes Adam's gun and shoots Hayden without wasting time. This is pretty much what Claire saw in her vision at the beginning. Since Doug turned everything off, the ancient machines start falling and everything gets destroyed, including the mummies. The whole pyramid starts crumbling. They all escape and Peter can be seen taking the golden statue from the beginning. The whole pyramid falls apart and Mandela arrives just in time to see it being destroyed. Doug, Sarah, and Claire manage to get out. Sarah thanks Doug for saving her life, and they kiss. Claire looks at the sky, saying that they're still out there, waiting to return. Just then, a hornet comes out of the rubble and attacks the camera.